And there he is. Hey, Marty, how you doing?
Hello, mate. I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, man. Yeah, really good. Nice sunny day in Edinburgh. And Marty, I promise this is not a plug. Like, this is legit. I genuinely had my Tens on today, and they're sitting on the desk. So I won't wait for the whole interview because I'll probably just wanted
Wonderful.
to
Well, I hope you love them.
I do. I've had them for years. And the first pair got stolen, which is probably a good sign because it shows people. So,
they're in demand in some way.
Yeah.
We're getting stolen. Yeah.
Not sure if that's in the marketing, but but listen, Marty, we really appreciate your time. I know just how many projects you have on, and your time is precious, so genuinely appreciate it. And looking at everything you're doing, I know there's going to be so many different ways we can take the conversation this evening, so lots I'm keen to dive into. I was wondering if it's okay for you to give a quick introduction to yourself. I feel you do it far better than me for very obvious reasons, and then after then we can jump in and get started.
Sure. Okay, let me try and do this succinctly. I guess I suppose I'm an entrepreneur. I've been starting businesses for 10 years, maybe more than that. Almost all of them completely bootstrapped, starting them with no money. My primary company right now is called Nude, and it's an app that helps you save up the deposit to buy your first home. So you can see that at nude.co.uk. I also run is it a music website? It's a music website, an app, a super summer music experience called Poolside FM, which you can find at poolside.fm or Poolside FM on the App Store. And I previously founded a sunglasses company called Tens. How's that?
Incredible. I mean, genuinely, see, when I was writing the questions, I was thinking, I wish I had 2 or 3 hours because there's so much to cover. And I thought, actually, I'm going to start in what people might think is a very weird place. I think it'll make more sense to you, Marty, initially. And this is actually nightlife and Skepta and putting on events. And the reason I'd love to start here is there's so much I'd love to ask you about how you grew this initial company and any lessons you've learned from it. But one, if it's okay, Marty, a bit of context on We Own and about the story behind it.
Yeah, so I guess that was my first ever attempt at a business, and I say that definitely in inverted commas because we barely did our accounts. Everything was a mess. What we were trying to do was build like a nightlife lifestyle brand. So we were throwing parties, booking DJs, doing student club nights, and then we had a clothing line that people would buy online. And we were trying to turn that into a lifestyle business. And so I kind of see that as, when we started that, I dropped out of uni, and I kind of see the 4 years that I ran that as learning everything you should not do when you build a brand and run a business. We did every single thing you could possibly do wrong in that 4 years, and I think that was the perfect uni course for me.
Oh, that's very much in. And for me, it really comes into what I was hoping to be the first question, actually. And you can probably tell I've done a lot of LinkedIn stalking. This in your profile, Marty. I love this, actually. You speak about your passion for building brands and positive companies. And for me, that feels like kind of similar kind of energy, similar place. Where do you think for you, Marty, that comes from? Because to me, that seems quite unique, actually. You know, really positive outlook. Where do you think it stems from?
And I have a really clear memory, and just in relation to building brands, I remember I must have been, I think I was 17 at the time. Me and my friend Tom were in a car going somewhere, and he said to me, it must be crazy owning a company like Red Bull, because yeah, they sell a drink, but they can do anything they want just because they're a brand. They throw parties, they do this fluke tag thing where people build cars out of random objects and drive them off a cliff into the sea. They do sporting events, motocross, and he was just talking about how if you have a brand, you can just stuff it full of doing whatever you want. And that was this huge light bulb moment in my head, like, oh my God, you can just, if you can find a way to make money, you can just build a brand and stuff it full of all the stuff you love. And then, so within a year from then, I'd moved to Edinburgh, I'd started at Napier, and I'd got a student brand manager role at Red Bull, and like a few months after, I kicked off this first nightlife brand. I was like, okay, what stuff do I love? I like electronic music, I like partying and drinking, and I like design and fashion and technology and like building websites and stuff. And I just squashed all of that into We Own, which was the first brand. And then, so I wouldn't say that was like it was just a brand. It wasn't a positive or negative brand. Some might see it as negative, I guess. But then it's, in terms of building positive brands, if you can build any company you want and run your own business, why not make it a really positive one? Just be really nice to everyone, be really nice to your employees, be nice to your partners, have positive messaging. Why would that not be one of the number one things you want to do? Because it's just going to make your own business more fun to be part of for yourself, if you think about it even selfishly.
That's such a good point, Marge. Yeah, because I think in a similar sense as well, people when they start a business probably don't appreciate how long it takes. And I guess if you've got all that positivity and energy and passion, it's a no-brainer for sure. And I'd love to, you probably tell a lot of my questions I'll be keen to dive into, like Tens, obviously, Poolside FM, maybe Nude and more of the recent questions. I wonder if it's okay, Marty, I'd be keen to look at a bit of the stories. And I know this is probably a bit of like a huge wide question, because I was keen to ask about the story behind Tens and also Poolside FM, if it's okay. I know that's why like kind of drawing your brain in two directions. I'd love to hear about the starting points of both.
Yeah. So Tens was the result of a kind of, again, just in a car journey somewhere. We were driving up to the Highlands for Belladrum Music Festival. The radio didn't work. I'd done something to block the radio in my mum's battered old Corsa. So we're like, you boys better have some good conversations, because this is 4 hours with no music or anything. So we were trying to do anything and everything. And we somehow got to laughing about the fact that me and Tom have photography and filmmaking backgrounds from when we were teenagers. We were laughing about how we always do the same edit on all of our pictures, where you've taken a photo in Scotland and it doesn't really look like summer because it's Scotland and it's grey. And we take like the temperature and the warmth of the photo and ram it right up and do like this orange cast over every image to try and make it look like, I don't know, 1986 in LA. We were laughing about that. And we were saying, if only this Corsa had like an orange windscreen that would make Scotland and this drive look like the edits we do in our photos. And then I was like, you could do that with sunglasses, like a brown orange lens. And then we remembered back to this time at a music festival when our friend had these sunglasses with a brown lens. We were all passing them around. It's like the third day at a festival. We're all hungover. And everyone's like, pass me those glasses. Pass me the happy glasses. I need like a serotonin boost. So that all connected together. And the next day, or after the festival that we were going to, we immediately made a Facebook private group. And we're like, do you think we can make this into something? And then we just started throwing ideas like, what if it was called this? And we could do these frame styles. And we just got really excited about it. And so that's the starting point of Tens.
Wow.
I don't know if you want to dig into that anymore, or if I should just fire straight on with Poolside FM.
Ooh, well, I've got one, almost like a quick fire question. That would be, where did the name come from, if you can remember?
We had the tagline before we had, or the first tagline before we had the name, and the tagline was 10 times better. And we really loved short names like Tom's, as in Tom's Shoes, Van. We're like, we want a cool, really short name like that. It's like 10 times better, Tens.
Oh, that's good. I love it.
Yeah, it's always the number one question because it's not like that obvious. It was a lot more obvious when it was 10 times better.
I see, yeah, because I was thinking, one was a tagline at one point, filter your worlds or something. Yeah.
Still there.
Fantastic. I remember when I was getting them. It's genuinely our plugs. I got them like 3 years ago, but that's amazing. Yeah, I'd love to jump into Poolside FM because I feel this is such a fun, quite different, super high energy project. And because I remember, Marty, as a bit of context, I was speaking about like tech Twitter on the tables, and I remember seeing Poolside FM like last year. And it was quite a big name, like tweeted about it. All the Silicon Valley guys, and it was really cool. And it's amazing to come back and ask you for this interview and think, wow, well done.
Yeah, it's so strange how much that spread in Silicon Valley. And like
Yeah.
the pinnacle of my career so far is Jack Dorsey liking a tweet about it was one of the earliest designers at Square. Tweeted saying, "I think this is the best website I've ever seen," and then Jack Dorsey liked that tweet. Like, I can die happy now. I don't care about it anymore. That's like the pinnacle. So it's just insane that I can start a website with no money in a bedroom in the Highlands of Scotland, and a few years later, it's like Jack Dorsey has seen it. It's nuts. I think that's the power of just, I don't know, building. I think it's the power of building things that it's not meant to be a business. It's just channeling stuff you love into like a fun product. Or as I kind of think about stuff now, is like trying to build internet toys out of the stuff that you love. Just, I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of like, that's something I'm excited about right now, is like building little internet things that are just fun things to play around with, that people are into what you're into might like to.
No, definitely. And it's one of the questions I had down, because I noticed, so I've kind of super stalked your LinkedIn bio. I loved it. It was so well written. And one of the things you said as well, which I thought was quite funny, but also quite meaningful and quite deep actually, was how you have all these side projects that you're saying they don't make much money, but they make you happy. And wow, I really love that approach to life and obviously business by extension. I guess if you're speaking to somebody who maybe comes from the opposite, is more kind of like super business focused, and it's like, it's got to be work, it's got to be grind, it's got to be, I was going to stop myself saying hustle, but hustle, people say visa. What would you say to that person? Like, what would you say as a way to maybe persuade them to your way of thinking? Like, what benefits do you see they could possibly get?
I think there's different ways you can approach business and startups and projects, and I think there's a lot of incredibly talented entrepreneurs and business people that I know, that I wouldn't try and take them over to my side and convince them any other way. They're just like straight focused, hardcore business operators, and they're probably making a lot more money than I am. They're just like, they are built to be business operators, and I kind of see businesses as a way to live out stuff that you're really interested in and like build things around your hobbies. That's kind of how I approach it. And I think the benefit of being quite chill and relaxed about it is there's so much less pressure. I see so many people a lot of people want to be startup people like that. They watch loads of Gary Vee and they want to grind. I want to start my own business. And like all they want to do is say that they're like the CEO at insert startup name. But when you do that and put yourself, and I was one of those people as well, hands down. I wanted to be director at We Own Limited. So I'm fully guilty of this. But the problem with that is you kind of build yourself up that you have to succeed or it's going to look like a failure. Whereas now I just try and tell people, don't even call this a business at the start. Like, call this a project or an experiment and post publicly about what's working, what's not working. That's a lot more of a thing nowadays. It's like people building their startup in the open. They call it an experiment or a project, and they say like, I'll scrap this week's experiment, totally didn't work, on to the next. By doing it in that way, it just relieves all the burden of having to succeed. Then you can just like proudly say, tried that project, didn't work out, on to the next. So that's one way I would say of being less businessy serious. Just a very chilled approach to, it doesn't need to even be a company. It can just be a project you're playing around with and may or may not work.
Oh, so good. So I'm just on the moment.
I don't know if that answered the question at all, and I just realized this question started as something that Poolside FM I also didn't answer. So
no, this is
to pull me back and answer this.
No, these are the best chats, Mike. Honestly, if you go back to any of our recordings, you'll see like, if it was like a road, it would start like question 1 and 2 would be on the same roads. And then like question 4, you're on like some like dirt track going up a hill trajectory. But those are the best ones. Like I just enjoy those chats so much more. And what you're saying, I'm just on the moment because it's so, I see it so true. And I guess you're maybe more likely to succeed because it's more natural. I guess
I believe in that so much, but because I think there's people feel like they really have to fake it till they make it and be out there and say like everything's working, everyone loves what I'm doing, I'm in the press all the time. It doesn't need to be like that at all. I feel like you get more people on your side if you're very chill about it and you ask people for help and you don't go flaunting that you're building the best thing on earth. I think people like warm to you and your brand and your company more and want to help you when you're more open.
Oh, definitely. Oh, it's no comparison whatsoever. And it brings it nicely actually onto Nude, because I was keen to ask you. I know I've been super quick bait here on the title, which is raising 5 mil if we want. But as far as I know, and obviously, correct me, Marty, it's completely nonsense, but this is the case. It's something you're launching soon, I believe.
Wait, sorry, what was that? It slightly cut out for me.
Yeah, no, sorry. Hope the connection's okay. I was keen to ask you about Nudes and raising pre-launch.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting this, because I guess for me it seems, well, obviously really, really impressive. But what I was keen to ask you and get into would be getting people on your side, and obviously investors and people to put money into it. If it's okay, I was keen to ask you, how did you approach it? Was there anything that you attribute the success of the raise to specifically, or was it more of a combination? Yeah, kind of talk.
I don't know if I have a great answer for this, but I'll kind of talk around it and maybe we'll get somewhere from it, because I think there's a lot of stuff in here that you can't really take into your own business probably. The primary benefit is that my co-founder and our CEO Crawford has an incredible reputation in traditional finance. He's managed multi-billion-pound pensions for the likes of Aviva, and been partner at a very successful actuarial firm. So he has an amazing reputation and lots of contacts, and quite wealthy contacts in that industry. So people that you can go to and quite definitely not easily, but you can raise a friends and family round, quite a big one with a lot of effort and perseverance. So having like him as a co-founder, extremely helpful because of his network and just his reputation for being a stand-up gent and very hardworking, good at his job, and just a great person all around. So reputation and his reputation and his network that he's built over decades, massively helpful. And what I'd say that is he leads on most of the raising, so all credit to him for this. He's so good at keeping people in the loop on everything we're doing when we're not raising and when we're not asking for money. Like, we have such good comms going to anyone that's ever registered even a slight piece of interest in Nude. He'll be speaking to them once a month. Like, there'll be maybe in any given month, we're speaking to hundreds of people who are investors, not investors, whether we're raising or not. We're just keeping people up to date with what's going on, what's exciting, what's happened at Nude that month. There's all these comms going on behind the scenes all the time. So when you do go to approach them maybe a year later and say, oh, we're raising by now, they're like, oh yeah, I've been seeing everything you're doing, looks amazing, saw the new video. So, and we've got a really tight system in place now for these comms going on all the time, especially with we did a Cedars equity crowdfund last year, and we probably send out 2 to 3 times more updates than your average campaign, and just make everyone in the loop with what we're up to. So if we decide to do another equity crowdfund, they're going to think, I know exactly what these guys are all about. They've got really good messaging. I felt in the loop the whole time. They've been achieving lots. Whereas I've probably backed, 10 equity crowdfunding campaigns. And I don't know the last time I heard from any of them. And if I was hearing from them, it was something that had been thrown together because they had to do it. So that's like that setup for keeping people in the loop all the time, even when you're not raising. I think that's something that maybe people could take away and learn something from. And just like, if there's people who have links to investors, or they're an investor, or they have a great network, just having them on your side and getting little bits of feedback from them, showing them bits and pieces, have a ton of people like that you're showing stuff to and keeping up to date all the time, that will definitely pay off.
Brilliant. No, it's an awesome message, yeah. Because I remember, I guess with equity, it's a similar concept where it's almost building the relationships, keeping people up to date. when you don't need the investment yet. So it's almost going to be proactive versus kind of reactive, and like, especially
as opposed to scrambling around like, we need to get this round over the line in 2 months. Let's find some investors. Cold start.
Definitely. And obviously the fact we've introduced Nude now is, from what I see, one of your other main projects. I was keen to get an idea from you, Martin. I imagine this changes all the time. Your schedule. How do you manage different projects? And I imagine projects within projects. Do you have any strategies? Is there anything you've learned the past few years that's helped? Like, how do you manage your time?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are always like, how do you have so much going on? How do you manage to pull that off? But the reality is that I'm always very focused on one thing. I haven't been in the past, but I've got much better at this in the last couple of years. Is I'll have one thing, and that one thing right now is Nude. Like all of my energy goes into Nude. I say 9 to 5, it's definitely more than that. And it's like, if I have energy for Poolside FM at the end of that day or that weekend, then it gets worked on. If not, then it just doesn't happen. So I'm fully committed to one thing at a time nowadays. And the good thing about having the side project, if you have side projects that are just chill and fun, the beauty of that is after a day at Nude, I'm like, I'd love to go and play around with Poolside FM and like talk to the developers who are also doing it in their spare time about doing some fun little feature or find some new tracks for the playlist. It's like, that's an exciting thing to do at the end of the day. It doesn't feel like work. If you keep, that's a project that I've managed to keep as a fun side thing for 7 years since I started. I've never had the opportunity a bunch of times to turn it into a business, but I never have, because I want it to be that thing that is like a bit of fun to work on the weekends.
I love that. Yeah, it's almost kind of counteractive. I can see it, a really good balance. And Poolside FM, so another thing I was looking at, I'm not sure if this go anywhere as a question, was Jacuzzi Club.
Yeah.
Again, I just love the word, and I just love the energy. It's almost like
a brand theme going on here.
Yeah, that was awesome. So I was keen to ask you about it, Martin, for a few reasons. One of them obviously was the I guess it's the sense of community, maybe peer is a better word, like kind of fellow founders and business owners, from what I understand. What was your thinking behind starting it, and is it something that you see has been really helpful for you and for other people? Just kind of keen to hear your thoughts on it. It was really interesting. So.
I just threw a link in the chat for anyone that's interested. If there's a lot of noise in the background, I'm beside a very noisy road where people hire quad bikes and take off at speed. Those noises. Yeah, just post a link in the chat there. Jacuzzi Club is it's a Slack channel with a bunch of people who run their own brands and businesses and like operators within those kinds of brands and businesses. And that's all it is. It's like there's a bunch of channels related to different things, like cool stuff they found on the internet that week, cool brands, lifestyle tips about running businesses and the stresses that come alongside it. It's like a cool, chill place to hang out for people who are into brands and businesses, but in like a chill way, as I keep trying to say. It's like my take on it. And the way I started that was I had a handful of people in Scotland that I knew that had businesses that I was mates with, and I'd always find myself saying, "Do you know a good accountant? Do you know someone who does X, Y, Z?" And who was in that? And I just made a closed Facebook group, and it had like Alan from Brewgooder. You probably know him. Everyone, Karen Maven, and just like, I don't know, there's maybe 10 people in it from Scotland, and I just threw them in here, and the tagline was something like, a place to cry about your VAT bill, no stupid questions, just, you don't need to pretend you actually know about business in here. So it was a Facebook group, and then I tweeted one day saying, is there any good communities for people building brands and businesses? And someone replied to it saying, you started one, I'd totally join it. And then that night I was like, okay, create a free Slack account. Had a friend make a landing page that night. We called it Jacuzzi Club and just put a little sign-up box and a type form. And I posted it and sent it to a bunch of friends that run businesses. And then that was it. It's got like 400 members in it now. I think there's a queue of like 1,000 people waiting to get in. So I apologize if anyone applies, because we're we're trying to take people in really slowly, because if you just throw a ton of people in, it kind of kills the place. You want people to like get introduced slowly, get to know each other. So it's very slow that we let people in, not in a pretentious way, just that we don't want to ruin what we have in there. So yeah, I think that's an example of starting a side project that's really fun, that hundreds of people get tons of value from. There's an ask for help channel that's for sure the most popular and most used channel, where I'm going to open it right now and tell you the kinds of things that people are asking in there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, please.
And I recommend anyone starting just a group of people who are into the same things as them, to have lighthearted conversations and help each other out. I don't know if you're into cycling, or if you're into interior design, find like 5 people who are into the same thing, throw them into a WhatsApp group. These things are bring so much value, and they're so easy and free to start and take no time to manage. I start WhatsApp group conversations for everything. Like I've got maybe 5 friends who are really into architecture and homes and designs. Like put them in a WhatsApp group. Whenever we see something cool on Instagram, send it to each other and talk about it a bit. I do this for everything, and I highly recommend doing it as well. So yeah, people are in here asking things like, can anyone recommend a good Webflow designer or a low-code whiz? Who are the coolest Gen Z brands out there? Just a bunch of stuff like that, and every post has like 10 replies. So yeah, that's been incredibly valuable for something that I just threw together and invited some relevant people in. And I don't think people do enough of that, realizing that they can put together a community, even if there's 5 people in it, and how much value you can get from that.
Oh, totally much. No, that's awesome. No, I love it. It's so niche as well. Like, yeah, obviously speaking about architecture, and that's also so important. Yeah, it's quite general. I guess you wouldn't get the same benefit. That's amazing. So I've got a few more questions, Martin. I'm going to meander. I might do a U-turn if it's okay. I know this is probably like completely disconnected from that. I was keen to come back to the clickbaity-esque title. I was keen to ask you about tens again, and coming back to, I know, Sir Richard Branson, I guess, probably using it as a kind of cheap name for the marketing of the event. But I was really keen to ask you about it, because I guess if you think about brands and maybe the sunglasses industry, from what I imagine, it's quite crowded and there's a lot of competition. If it's okay, I was keen to ask you about him getting involved, and what do you think for him made you stand out? You know, what do you think really captured his attention? And
it will be helpful to tell the story of how we came onto his radar.
Yeah.
To set the scene. So we did the Indiegogo campaign. When was that? I think that was 2014. We did our launch Indiegogo campaign. We were trying to raise £10,000, and we raised a bunch more. We raised something like 400,000. Completely overwhelmed. We put that together with no money. And we were just saying, okay, if we can't raise 10 grand, we don't have a business on our hands, and we'll just shut it down. We won't bother doing it. And it exceeded our expectations massively. It was the right clickbait headline at the right time, when Instagram filters were just becoming a thing, and it was like Instagram filters for real life. It just landed. So that wasn't any genius move from us. It just landed at the right time, and picked it up in the right way. So taking no credit for that. And someone who backed that Indiegogo campaign, who is like a friend of one of my co-founders who started it with, they are very wealthy, and they run like a yearly summit on Necker Island. Doing that summit, and while they were there, it was like just before Christmas, and they brought gifts for Richard and his wife Joan, and they brought them tens from the crowdfunding campaign.
Nice.
And so on Boxing Day, that Christmas, I get this photo forwarded from my friend of Richard Branson and his wife wearing tens, and we're like, what the hell? How has this happened?
Whoa.
So we find out how it happened, but it's not like you can just email Richard Branson or tweet him and say, hey, saw you're wearing our sunglasses. We should go. So all it was a cool thing.
Wow.
Richard Branson apparently wears our sunglasses. We can't contact him. And we saw more photos on his Instagram and stuff of him wearing them. Just crazy, but we couldn't really do anything about it. And then one day the our customer service, someone in the customer service team at Tens noticed a support query from someone with a Virgin email address. And just out of interest, Googled their name just to see if there was any connection. Immediately comes up on like the virgin.com/board members, on the board of Virgin Galactic, on the board of Whale. Like, who the hell is this? This must be connected. So I email him straight away saying, yeah, of course we'll change the colors on these pairs. To change the colors. And I was like, do you mind if I ask how you found out about this? Because we also noticed that Richard Branson's wearing them. And he said, yeah, I was out on Necker Island, and Richard said, try on these sunglasses. You need to get a pair of these. This is not real. This is not. This cannot be real. So I just struck up a bit of conversation and banter with him back and forth, being a cheeky Scottish bugger as usual. And he said, if I can ever, like, Richard really likes these sunglasses. If I can ever find a time to like get you to meet him, I will do. Maybe a couple of months later, he phones me out of the blue and he said, okay, Richard's doing a press tour. It was the launch of the like Virgin Rail line from London to Edinburgh. They said, so he's going to be on doing the press tour of that line. If you come to York, go to this platform and get on this carriage number. I'll set you down with Branson on the train. You can have something like, you can have 8 minutes with him till the next stop. And then that'll be like, that's how his time's accounted for in like 8-minute blocks whilst on a press tour. So of course I do that. I go and meet him. He said he loves the sunglasses. We'd just come back from a photo shoot. So I like had an iPad and I showed him some stuff. And he was like, love it. Great stuff. If you need investment, let me know. I was just on the spot, like, hell yeah. I'm not saying no. I don't even care what deal you give us. You can give us £1 at like a £10 valuation for 10% of me. I want to be able to say that I have a business for Richard Branson. So yeah, and it wasn't for like a year until we actually managed to get the investment over the line. But that's how it all came together. And from what he said, he got given the product. He immediately put them on. Necker Island looked better through them. He was like, great, simple product, does what it says on the tin. I can see how this would sell. People put them on and they like them, easy. He was like, I love simple products. And he was like, are you doing more frame styles? And I was like, delighted, being like, yeah, we've got this whole new collection. And he was immediately like, oh, I was just going to say you should only do one style. Keep it really simple. I was like opening up the iPad to show him like 30 new styles. Just like slowly putting the iPad away.
Oh my goodness, that is
simplicity. But I think that shows your luck massively increases the more stuff you put out there, and the more you throw yourself out there and get yourself in front of people and do crowdfunding campaigns with clickbait headlines. Just like, obviously, if you're putting that much stuff out there all the time, like I am, I'm probably going to have more luck in terms of people getting in touch with me or finding my stuff than someone who's not doing that.
Definitely. Oh, that is
crazy story. I'm still not over myself that all that came off.
I can tell. Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you what, that is an amazing question for me to I don't ask anymore, because that is a peak. But I've just had a look at the Q&A tab, Marty, and it's like, I think we might have broken Remo with the right question. So it's okay, Marty. Well, first of all, thank you for answering my segments. I mean, that's just amazing. Of course,
so much fun. Thank you very much for thinking to have me on.
No, it's all. Oh, come on, no brainer. I mean, everyone's loving it, and I've got some probably better questions than mine from everyone else from the audience. So what I'll do is I'll invite everyone on to stage to speak. There's plenty of room. We've done the COVID safety check, so it's fine. We'll be 2 meters, I think. So what I'll do, I'll invite you on first, Paul, because you had the best question apparently. According to everyone, 7 upvotes, which is quite impressive. So I can add you to the stage and let you ask it. So that 2-second gap that I'll fill with some chat.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Good. First time on Remo, so just testing. Yeah, Marty, great presentation, great questions, Dec. How do you actually manage 3 companies concurrently? I know you mentioned that you just focus on one most of the time, but obviously, you know, you've grown quite quickly. Do you use a lot of outside help as well now, or do you still try and have people just full-time working with you that you trust in all of your free firms?
Yeah, really good question. So TENS I don't actually work in at all day to day anymore. So that's 1/3 of a job off my plate. I'm just I started with one of my best friends, and he still leads the company. So I'm just an advisor whenever he needs me on WhatsApp. I'm there. That's my role at TENS now, shareholder and helping Chris. And then as I said before, with Poolside FM. That's a very relaxed project, and everyone that works on it kind of contributes for free. We do some kind of collaborations and partnerships and stuff now and then that I'll organize in maybe an hour in an evening, or on a Saturday afternoon I'll sit down and spend 6 hours working on stuff if I can be arsed. That's kind of the deal with Poolside FM. And so yeah, there's a team of maybe 8 other people that collaborate on it with me. So it's kind of like a community effort on Poolside FM, and with everyone else, it's just when they have the energy as well. So pretty relaxed. We are starting a business out of Poolside FM, which is top secret, so no one leak this. We're in a sunscreen brand called Vacation by Poolside FM. But I set that up in a way that some people that were launching a sunscreen brand but didn't have a brand or anything, we really 80s retro vibes. You have a branding community already for that. Is there a deal we can do here where it can be by Poolside FM, but we actually manage the whole business and raise the investment for it? So that's the perfect kind of deals that I'm looking for Poolside FM, where I can benefit from the community that I've built up that's making no money to launch a business out of to that community, but I don't have to work on it at all, other than like, I don't know, maybe a half-hour call once a week. Or half an hour on a Saturday again. It's like, I find this stuff so much fun to work on that it energizes me on a Saturday afternoon to jump on with them and talk about stuff.
I love your passion. Good old cross.
Of course. I hope that's helpful, but it's really like, there are no superpowers at all. It's just there's one focus at any given time, and anything else is like, if I have the energy and having like other people involved. I quite like giving up. I'm generous of giving away slices of the pie in projects, in equity or ownership, so that other people will get involved and lead it when I can. So someone else to pick up and just keeping those projects that are the side projects really relaxed and no pressure and no like KPIs we're tracking or anything.
Great, thank you.
No worries.
Well, appreciate it. So I'm going to kick you off stage now. That's okay.
I'm going to try and take less time on each question.
No worries. No, it's
rambling.
Not at all. It's amazing insight. So net, which got 5 votes, which again very impressive. So I'm going to bring you on, and as if by magic, in like 2 seconds, you will hear. So, hey, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Really enjoyed that chat. So thanks, guys.
No worries.
So my brother and I are working on a project at the moment, and we're at that stage where we're trying to raise some funds to go full time and kind of set up a small team. And we've mainly been going down the angels or pre-seed VC route and speaking to those types of folks. But I think we've always kind of considered that crowdfunding route, but probably don't understand it fully and the detail behind it. So just wondered if you had an opinion on crowdfunding versus that angel pre-seed route, and if I know you've done crowdfunding, but if you've done both, and pros and cons. Yeah,
such a good question, and it's probably industry specific. Might have a different answer. Is it a physical product? Is it tech? Do you have any?
Tech. So it's a SaaS platform. So
okay. So I think it's tricky with that. Probably rules out being able to do a non-equity crowdfund for starters, like a Kickstarter or Indiegogo. It's hard to raise money from. That's probably obvious. It's hard to give perks for people who aren't using the product. For a SaaS tool, and I assume that bootstrapping it is not an option to get it off the ground. Do you need the raise to kind of hire the team to build the thing?
I think so, yeah. So like at the moment we're kind of getting money through grants and these types of things. And then because my brother and I aren't developers, we rely on an agency at the moment, and that's where, because we're starting to get a bit of traction, we want to be able to respond super quickly to feedback and all these things, and we really need that kind of capability in house. So we're kind of at those crossroads right now.
Yeah, I think what I found it we found it really difficult raising pre-traction at Nude, because all VCs want to see are metrics, and crazy good metrics, like 10% week-on-week growth that you're paying $0 to acquire those customers. So I think the VC route is difficult, but if you have traction, then it's probably going to be pretty, you can definitely get it over the line if you have traction.
Yeah.
So if you have traction, I'd definitely consider the seed round. If you want the pressure of doing a VC round, if you're fine with that, because these people are looking for 100x on their investment. It's like they're not going to be happy with it. Raising $1 million and selling it for 10 million would be like a terrible outcome for an average VC, which is nuts. So obviously it's a lot of pressure that you have to be ready for. But I'm not that experienced in SaaS. It's not something I've worked in, so I'm not sure I can give the best idea. But I'd probably lean towards a seed round with VCs, just if you have the traction to show. Yeah. I don't know if that's helpful.
Awesome. That is helpful. That is, so thanks a lot.
No worries.
Cheers, Michael. No worries. I'm going to kick you off as well. So I shouldn't sound like I get so much pleasure from that. I have so much power. I've never had so much power before.
It's going to happen.
The reason I'm laughing, Marty, is I think it's an awesome question. I hope you appreciate this one. So I'm going to invite Ollie to ask it. You might have seen it already, but I thought it was a very good and funny question. So
Hi, Marty. I didn't actually anticipate that was going to be on stage, so I would have dressed for the occasion and feel it's a good job. I can't see my washing or anything that's shoved. Anyway, so obviously Nude's great and it's going to do really well. I did consider investing in it, but I didn't actually, for shame, I'm afraid. But when it makes millions for you, which I'm sure it will, what car are you buying? Is it a 1988 Testarossa or a Contact?
It's hands down a black Ferrari 308 GTS. Maybe like a 1984. I'm going to pick a year and someone's going to call me out and say, actually, they didn't make the 308 GTS in 1994, 1986. Ferrari 308 GTS, dream car. Nice. Actually, my dream car is like a 90s Jeep Wrangler. And I managed to buy that at 30 years old, my first ever car. So I've actually got my dream car. And the lesson here being, pick a car that's not particularly expensive as your dream car, like a battered old Jeep Wrangler from the 90s. You'd be really happy because you can get it without too much hassle.
Brilliant. Thank you. Good luck with it.
Genius. Thanks so much. It's an awesome question.
Excellent question.
Amazing, Marty. I've got a request actually from Alexander. So, okay, Marty, I'll invite him on and see if it's possible to help him out and see. I'm sure Alex, you have other questions as well. So, if there's anything else Alex you're keen to ask just now, then I'll let you fire away.
Oh, my camera's not working. Hold on.
Oh no.
Well, that's cool.
There we go. It's probably better when it doesn't work, if I'm honest.
For the DSLR webcam setup, that's good effort.
Yeah,
that explains the beautiful blur behind you.
Do your best if you don't have windows in your room.
Yeah.
So my question, so I'm another Scottish founder of an eyewear company, but we make sports eyewear for cyclists, so we're not really in the same sphere as Ten. So obviously I've got like a billion questions on how to scale effectively an eyewear brand. So I was just wondering if it'd be possible. I don't know if I know you said that you don't really interact hugely with Tens anymore, but if you'd be able to point me in the right direction of who I could speak to at Tens, and if you'd be up for having a chat, because we've just kind of launched our Kickstarter last year. We did not as well as you guys, but we did about £100,000 in our opener.
Amazing.
And given that we're selling to only cyclists, we're pretty happy. So now we're just looking to scale up. And there's lots of complicated things about making acetate frames that we don't know. So yeah. So I suppose that that's kind of my primary question. And then I also had a bit more of an oblique one, which is more about like, how did you process of dealing with that first order? Because you said you aimed to raise 10K and then you went and you raised loads. So that's the number one thing that cripples Kickstarter companies, like over subscription to their offering. So
I don't know if you saw did you see the story of the coolest cooler? That like
yeah,
the cooler box that that was a saga to follow and a perfect example of that.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you guys make that not happen?
Yeah. So first question, I will need to see if I'm legally allowed to do that, as I might get my ass kicked by someone at TENS. But more than happy to connect you with a gang at TENS to answer those kinds of questions. We're not too caught up on those kind of things of helping out competitors, especially in Scotland. All for the greater good. So yeah, ping me on Twitter or wherever you want, Instagram after, and I'll see what I can do. But really good question on the scaling things up for a Kickstarter campaign on production. What we did is we were really struggling to make the product and find good acetate frames and all this stuff that you have to learn from scratch. So we struggled for about 2 years to make the first pair of TENS. Getting the lens right was a disaster. We just went on Alibaba.com. We're searching like Wayfarer sunglasses and go through like, I don't know, 30 different factories and get them to send us samples, look at them. But it was the lens we were really struggling with. So I remembered a friend of a friend from Glasgow that had a like family company who sourced a bunch of products in China and overseas. I was like, okay, we can't do this. May as well just go and ask someone who can. So went and asked him, showed him the product, showed him what we were struggling with, and he said, yeah, let me see what I can do. Within a month, he had the perfect lens, perfect frame, packaging, and everything. Because this is what his family does. He just goes to someone in the office and says, here's the product I need, spec it out and get me a sample. And they're working with huge factories who churn out like hundreds of thousands of pairs. So that's how we managed to do it. We just went to people who were already doing it at scale and worked with them. But in eyewear, there's definitely we went out to China a couple of times, which is an experience I highly recommend. It's nuts in a good way. And there's very different levels of you get workshops and then factories. And workshop it's not like some sketchy little place in an alleyway. It's like a nice facility, but small and designed for small brands. And there's big places that churn stuff out. So I guess it's just finding the right scale for the brand at any given time. That's not actually that helpful.
No, it's not. I mean, it's very helpful overall, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll see if the team at TENS can share any contacts or anything we can do to help out. Because
yeah, sure. It's actually more from a collaboration angle because our unique technology, much like you guys, is purely in our lens, but it's a totally different way. So it'd be good to maybe get a Scottish powerhouse of sunglasses underway.
Love it. The one place you don't need sunglasses. Let's do it.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's weird that we make so many of them.
That's a good point. Yeah, we're
very aspirational people. Thank
Maybe
you.
it's something to do with us being too drunk all the time. Come up with very questionable business ideas.
Thank you.
Amazing. I appreciate it. So final question. So I'm conscious of your time, obviously, Marty.
No worries. If we need to run over, I'm completely fine.
Yeah, no, all good. So what I'm thinking, so final question now, and you guys may have seen on the chat, in true party style, we've extended the time, so you can now kick about after until 8:30, and shoot the shit. Excuse my French. Yeah, crack a beer, chew the fat. Think of the next Scottish eyewear monopoly company and become billionaires in a couple of years. But I'm going to invite Shay on because she had quite a cool, fun question. I think it'd be a nice kind of positive vibes to finish. So I'll invite you on to stage. And like magic. So it's 2 seconds or 3 or 4.
I didn't think I have on stage either, but I thought I'd ask a cheeky question.
Yo.
So it was basically, what's a better place to live, Bewley or Dominican? And at the end, I put CB represent. hopefully you recognise what that's.
Yes, hands down, Bewley. Hands down, Bewley boys for life. Yeah, Dominican, but it's also incredibly convenient, and the infrastructure, especially the internet infrastructure. I can't believe I've managed to make it through this call on internet that is maybe like 1 grade above 56k dial-up from AOL. It's nice here, but whenever I lived in Barcelona for a year as well, and I always just find myself fantasizing about getting back to Scotland and like watching documentaries about the history of Scotland, reading dense books about histories of Scotland, and I really want to buy a house near Bewley. So hands down, Bewley.
I saw you went out there like pretty like at the start of the pandemic and that. Like, what was the choice that like made you head for the Dominican really in the middle?
Yeah, I had a friend who just landed out here. He's from Australia, but he was struggling to get his US visa. And so he said, okay, because all the consulates were closed or something, and still are, he was like, I'm going to go to the Dominican Republic, because he'd been there before. He said, I'm going to hide out on the beach from COVID for a few months and see what happens. And he just pestered me every day on WhatsApp with, are you coming yet? Are you coming yet? And I found it progressively harder to say no to when he was like sending me videos of him with like a coconut on the beach and sending me like the price of renting an apartment on the beach being extremely low, and I just caved. And I think I'm all about optimizing my life for it being more exciting. So I'm really into making rash decisions like moving countries. And I think it's this is easy for me to say because I don't have kids or a partner or anything right now. I can like just make spur of the moment decisions and move countries. But I like making it not a big deal, like moving from one place to another and not overthinking it. If you work on the internet, which, Seamus, I can't remember if you do or not work on the internet. I would assume you do work on computers.
Yes. Ironically, I think he's frozen actually. You obviously
His internet is gone.
Yeah, the dial-up internet is obviously contagious. And that just now, but amazing. Well, Marty, listen, you can tell I just loved it. I could honestly chat with you all day and just the energy and appreciate your time. It's been so much fun. Honestly,
Cool.